The reigning Eastern Conference champions and finals runner-up Miami Heat are off to a rough start so far this season, as they currently sit in the 11th spot in the Eastern Conference. This start has many starting to wonder if the Heat will be able to recover in order to make the playoffs at all, let alone worry about any type of seeding. Now, in a normal traditional season, they say around the 25 game mark, which is where we are now, is kind of where you can begin to tell who's going to be good, who's going to be bad, what teams are what. Obviously, there's exceptions to that. Teams will get hot and go on runs. Teams get cold. It'll change here and there, but for the most part, they say that's kind of the point you can tell or begin to tell what the playoff picture will be. Of course, with this being a COVID season, guys coming in, guys going out constantly, that's not going to be the case this year. It'll probably constantly be changing and updating. And originally, I was not concerned with the Heat. I thought they'd be able to recover and figure it out, and they'd be able to get into the playoffs. However, after looking at some things, I'm not so sure that's the case. And I'll explain here why. But of course, the most dangerous thing about doing a video like this is that the Heat could go on an 8 out of 10 game winning streak in the next 10 games. And that would render this entire thing useless. However, like I said, I don't think that'll be the case. Now, to go ahead, the most obvious thing that's hurt the Heat, as everybody knows, is Jimmy Butler has missed a lot of games this season. He's missed literally half of their games so far. He's missed 12. He's played 12, and without him, they're 3-9. With him, they're 7-5. They're not one of these teams that has multiple superstars. Obviously, Bam's on the rise, and he's kind of ascending, and they've got a couple of guys, Harold, Duncan, and those guys, but they can't afford to not have Jimmy, and that's been the most glaring and obvious thing. But I wanted to see if that was the only thing. And when you really go look at it, it appears like it almost is. Bam has been great. He's played better this season. Tyler Herro has actually played better this season as well. Duncan Robinson has slightly regressed, but not enough to be concerned. His points are down, his minutes are up, his points are down, his field goal percentage is down, his three-point percentage is also down. But I think his regression is more of just a product of, obviously with Jimmy being out as much as he is, and the season and bubble that Duncan had. I think he's just being included in more scouting reports more detailedly. So he's just being defended better. So I don't read too much into Duncan's, slight decline. I think he'll be fine. Something else I did find interesting is it hasn't just been Jimmy who's been missing. The Heat have arguably been the most COVID-riddled team in the NBA. As you'll see here, there are two guys on the entire roster who's played in every single game this season. That's Duncan Robinson and Precious Achiuwa. There are also only 5 guys who have played in more than 20 games this season. So they've been getting destroyed by COVID. You can't expect that, or I don't expect that at least, to continue the entire length of the season. A lot of teams kind of come and gone and just hopped around. So I'm sure they won't have to deal with that all season. I wouldn't expect Jimmy Butler to have missed half the games when you get to the end of the season. And I think, he'll play a little more. And that's what made me think that they were going to be fine. However, after looking, like I said, at some more things, I started to question it a little more. And let's go back here to the current NBA standings. So like I said earlier, the Heat are currently the 11th seed. They're right behind the Bulls and Knicks, and to go further up, the Hawks and Hornets. So here's the thing. The Heat did just beat the Knicks as of today when I was doing this in their last 2 games. They beat them twice. So I believe they actually could catch and surpass the Knicks, as well as the Bulls. I think they're a better team than the Bulls. I think they'll surpass them as well. However, where it gets interesting for me is these 2 teams right here, and that's the Hawks and the Hornets. The Hawks have shown nights where they have great firepower, and they've looked really good at times during the season at certain stretches, and they've also struggled at stretches. But overall, I would say they're a good team. And the Hornets are also, they're kind of on the rise. LaMelo's starting to get his footing. Gordon Hayward's gotten comfortable. They're 5-5 in the last 10, which isn't great, but if you've watched their games, they're starting to play better. So this is what I wanted to go look at in detail. Let's look at the Miami Heat's schedule coming up. So they'll start tomorrow with the Rockets. Today, which is not that's a winnable game. We'll see what happens. But as you look further into it, they'll go Rockets, the Jazz, who we know what they've been, Clippers, Warriors, Kings, Lakers, and if my computer will unfreeze, let's see. I see Raptors. Okay, yeah, Raptors, Thunder, Jazz again. I don't see them, even if, like I said, if Jimmy plays a lot more than he has been, I don't see them winning most of those games. I'm not going to sit here and pick ones out. You could do that as you see them in your opinion. But just looking at it, there are a lot of tough games in there. They might be able to come out of it 500, maybe not. Now let's go look at, like I mentioned, here are the standings. These are the two teams that are currently in the playoffs that interest me. Let's look at the Hornets schedule. The Hornets go the Timberwolves, Spurs, Bulls, Nuggets, Warriors. They do also have the Jazz. And then to get more in depth, they'll have the Suns, the Warriors, Kings, Trailblazers, and Timberwolves again. I think that stretch is more winnable for sure than the stretch that the Heat have coming up. And then to go, of course, even more to the Hawks. The Hawks will have Spurs, Pacers, Knicks, Celtics. Celtics back to back. The Nuggets. And then they'll go to, let's see, who are the Nuggets? So yeah, Cavs, Celtics again, Thunder, and then they have the Heat. They'll get to match up with them back to back. I personally believe both over the next course of the 10 or so games that both the Hornets and the Hawks have a more favorable schedule than the Heat. That's just me. You may disagree. And that's the thing that I think is going to be interesting. To kind of pull up their schedule so you can look at it, see some of these teams. If, for example, we're heading into the All-Star break and the Heat are 3, 4, even 5 games out of it, that's going to be a tough push come the end of the season. We're only playing 72 this year for them to kind of make that surge. And like I said, they could easily do it. But with the teams in front of them, and like I said, they've also looked very impressive. I don't know if I would say they will do it confidently. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I know a lot of people are starting to say they might need to put a package together and make a move. I don't oppose that idea. I think you need to consider, Bam's untouchable, but I would consider moving one of the shooters if you can get me somebody back that I like in a package. Because they've got a lot of pieces. Obviously, I'm not getting rid of both the guys. And when I say the shooters, I'm referring to Tyler Herro and Duncan Robinson. But to get somebody that I wanted, I would move one of them, maybe in a package with, whoever it be, Dragic, Nunn, some picks. I'd do it, and I think maybe they need to consider that. But it's just tough because it hasn't necessarily been their performances put them where they are. It's been kind of other factors, not being able to stay on the court. And obviously, you could say one thing that could happen is those teams who are in front of them could also get affected, by whether it be injuries, COVID, which, yeah, it might happen. I don't know. So yeah, hopefully we'll be able to come back and check in on this one in a while. Feel free to let me know what you think about kind of the Heat's chances coming up. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it.